Hi everyone. So in today's video, we are going to set up point-to-site VPN connection to Azure network, and we'll see why that is so important. So coming back to my virtual machines in Azure, as you can see, we currently have 3 VMs that are running, and there's only one VM which has got the public IP address, which is the client one. So we're going to see why we need to get rid of the public IP address and why it's important to set up point-to-site VPN connection to connect to the Azure environment here. Cool. So for now, we've got the IP address which is ending at 23. Let's see if the connection works. So which is the IP here. If I just enter the password, just a temporary password, don't really bother. Cool. So this VM is domain joined. I'm just going to verify a couple of things with you. So just that you can see. Yep, so this is joined to the domain. This is a client, and we can verify that we are able to connect to this VM using the public IP address. But that is never a good idea. Imagine if there is someone, a malicious actor, who might be trying to get into the VM using that public IP address and then the port 3389, and there could be so many things that they can do with the network, and yeah, so that would be one of the security issue, if that makes sense. So here you can see 3389 is allowing all the connections here. We want to connect to the same VM, but instead of using public IP address, we want to use private IP address, which is 10.0.0.6, and it's coming from the VNet, which is here. And this VNet will have its own DNS, which is a custom DNS, which is our custom domain controller, which is 10.0.0.0.7. Yeah. Now, in order for me to connect from point-to-site VPN, we can go here and search in Azure either virtual network gateway. Yep. No, not that one. Virtual network gateways. Yeah, this is the one. Cool. So we have nothing at the moment here now. So we need to select create new virtual network gateway. Cool. So we leave the subscription as it is. And we are going to name this as point to site VPNs. Just easy for us to remember. Australia East. I will leave that as it is. So we are going to set this one up on our one of the virtual network here. And of course it would require one public IP address. We can just name it as point to site VPN connection public, just so it does make sense to us when we want to review it. Now availability zone, we can set up as zone redundant. We don't want to set up active. We can just leave it as it is. The rest could be just default. Yep. Don't worry about the tags. If you create, so it's going to pass some checks, and yep, validation is passed. So I'm going to hit create, and now as you can see here, so we are setting up. So deployment is in progress. This might take a couple of minutes now, because this in the backend it actually creates one of an instance. It creates a VM in the backend, and it normally takes around 15-20 minutes. So I will pause the video in the meantime, and once the deployment is succeeded, then we will go through the next steps. I'll pause the video now. All right, finally. So it took almost 20 or 25 minutes to get this completed now. So if we go to the resource now, so we have point to site VPN, as you can see, that is there. And of course, if we go to point to site configuration, we have nothing there at the moment, as you would expect. Yep, so it's saying that point to site is not configured. So configure now? Yes. All right, so address pool. So this will be the address pool from where the client will get the IP addresses. So for now, I am just setting up just to show you here first. I don't have anything here at the moment. So if I go IP config all, you would see that I have got the other IP addresses range 192.192.192, but there's nothing in the 10 range. So just so we can see the difference here, 20.4.0/24, for example, if this is what we're gonna see, this is all private IP addresses, so nothing to worry about here. You can choose, it depends different if you want to connect from the Mac or you want to use the Windows. I will go through the secure socket tunneling protocol SSTP, SSL VPN, and for the authentication we are using Azure certificates. We'll get back to that, yeah. So now it's asking, well, provide the public certificate data. All right. So in order for us to set up the certificate authentication, Microsoft has got a really good article here. I'll put the link in the description as well. So we need to create one root certificate, self-signed root certificate, and then we have to generate a client certificate in order to authenticate it. So in order to create a self-signed root certificate, we can just copy the script here, and if I just do clear so you can see what I'm trying to do, and paste, yep. Yep, so root certificate is generated now. While we are here, because it's using the variable, so we might as well generate a client certificate. But in the meantime here, let's get back to the root certificate and cert mgr.msc, but we'll leave this window open here so as we can navigate. So if I go to personal certificates, so this is the root certificate. By the way, the name can be changed here. So if you specify P2 root certificate for it, you could put it here like it's a point to site VPN or something like that. That doesn't make any difference here. So we need to do is we need to go all tasks and export. So we click next. Yes, we do not want any private key for this one. We need to select the second option, which is base 64 encoded. Go next. So for the file, I will just go to the browse and go to desktop. Let's say I put this one as root certificate. All right, so that should be done. Yep, so that is exported. So if I go back to the desktop, yep, so this is the certificate here. So we need to do right click and open with Notepad. And we are after this data here. So ignore the end certificate and begin certificate line, and you just copy this one here. And we go back again to our portal here. So this is the public certificate data, and I want to name it as point to site root certificate. Alright, so this is done now. So I'll hit save. So this might take it might take a minute or two. While this is loading, let's go to the client certificate. So while session is still open. We haven't really touched anything on the session here. So I want to have one client certificate as well, because the client certificate will authenticate using the root certificate that we just generated before. So if I go again, insert mgr action, where can I refresh that? Probably here. All right, so this is the one which is the child certificate. This, of course, this is the root certificate and this is the child certificate. So we are using the child certificate and we are going to all tasks, export. Now this time we want to export this one as a private key. The reason that because we want to, so any client who want to access the point to site VPN, he will have to use this client certificate. They have to import this one. I'll show you how it works. And of course, it will ask for the password. So if I just put like a temporary password, hopefully I am typing it correctly. All right, so leave everything as it is. And of course, again, I'm going to go back to the desktop here. So I'm going to just type this one as private certificate. So remember, this will have the extension .pfx. So this will be a private key. Finish. Done. So now any person who wants to connect to this session here using point to site VPN, they would have to have this private certificate with them. So your engineer or your administrator will give you this certificate to import it into the certificate manager, and then from there you'll be able to connect to the point to site VPN here. So what you would do here, if someone sends you this file, you will just double click. You can use it as a current user or you can use it as a local machine. So I'm going to use it as a local machine. Next. Yes. So yep, so this is the password that was there on the certificate at that time. Then you export it as private. Next. Cool. So this certificate is applied here now. You'll be able to see if I go and refresh that. Yeah, that would be under the, so if I do MMC and we go back again to the certificates here and then remove snap and we go to certificates and we want to use the computer account because we selected computer account at that time. Yep, so under here in personals, so you will have this one here, child here certificate, and you'll see here that this certificate has an expiry for 1 year. And of course, these are the thumbprint here. Yeah, so this all looks fine here. And also saved virtual network gateway is already done here now. So if you go back again here and go back here, just minimize this. So our point to site VPN is there. Yep, so it is all provisioned. Point site configuration is all well and good to go. So we have given the range and we're using certificate that is applied here. So now we need to do is we need to download the VPN client so we can use this client to connect to the VM. Of course, we are using the private connection here now. So we have just extended the VNet with this our additional address pool here now. I'll show you in 1 second. So download the client. Alright, yeah. So the client is downloaded. So this will be a zipped file. So if I just do extract, just extract all. So I am after, this file here. So you can have like 32-bit and generic. You can run the PowerShell as well, but I'm after this. Run as administrator. So it's saying that, do you wish to install a VPN client for DC01 VNet? So this is our VNet where the VMs are running. I mean, just so that we are on the same page, I will go back again to show you which network we are talking about here. So here, for example, client, it's connected to, it's running a bit slow. So in network setting, or even over there, it shows you there. So DC01 VNet, this is the VNet that we were talking about there, and this is here the confirmation is asking. We say yes. So that VPN client is installed. Yep, so this is where the, yeah, so this is the one here, DC01 VNet. Yep, so this is the, of course, and there you go, right? Yep, so this is where it's connected. Now, if I just run, you might see that we still do not see that because we haven't established a connection yet. Now, if we go and search for the VPN, you'll see under VPN setting, we do have one DC01 VNet, which is not connected. But if I say hit connect, it says asking that connections to click connect to begin connecting to work offline. Okay, yeah. So we say connect. Yep. Continue. All right. So see, is now showing that this is connected here now. So in the same way, what we have learned before, that we were able to connect to this VM using the public IP address. But right now, because we have already established the VPN connection, we will be able to see, if I run the same command again here, you will be able to see that we should have an IP range within our network, which is of course here now. So 10.24.1. So it picked up the first available IP in that range. And of course, the DNS server is the one that we have already specified, which is the domain controller. So now, if we come back to the VPN session here again, you'll be able to see that we have, yeah, so we should have one active session there. Point to site sessions. It might take a while, yeah. It might take a while. So okay, with the DC, so client now, if we try to connect to it, but this time, see, we're not using public IP address. So we will be using 10.0.0.6. So if I go and log off, disconnect, and this time, instead of using public IP address, we want to use the private one. You'll be able to see that it's prompting for the password. And of course, if you enter the password, this will be the same VM you connected with before using the public IP address. So there you go. So this is the same VM that we got connected. So you can, we were able to verify that this is the VM we are connecting, but of course using 10.0.0.6. And right now, see if I go back to the network setting for this one, for example, so technically I don't need any kind of public IP address for this one because of course this is not a load balancer or anything like that. So theoretically we shouldn't need this public IP address here. So because Microsoft buys these public IP addresses and we pay money for this one. So if I say delete, or disassociate and delete, yeah. Just want to confirm with you end to end so that we can understand the difference. So for VM, it doesn't really make any difference if the public IP address exists or not. So if it's detached, then you can later delete it. That wouldn't make any difference. But yeah, the idea is that if you, yeah, so there's no public IP address here now. So you can see that it's running currently only using the private IP address. And we have already confirmed and verified that this is what it is, yeah. So now in order to renew it, of course, you follow the same process. You generate the self-signed root certificate. And the best option is to always generate on the same PC that you're doing. In this case, I've done it on my laptop. But of course, if you wanna move that to another PC, then you have to also export the root certificate and send it to whoever is running the client certificate because it has to be done on the same PC, so that it can, because the root certificate will be able to authenticate this one. But let's say if we, for whatever reasons, we have to now revoke the access. So if I go back to the point to site VPN here now, so how can we revoke the access if there's any kind of threat or any kind of issue? We know that we have point to site configuration. By the way, we should be able to see now point to site sessions. There you go. So an allocated IP address, which we have verified, this shows that there is one client that is connected. It's running a bit slow today. Yep, so there is one client here, private IP address 10.24.1, and we have verified that this is 10.24.1. So this is me, I'm connected using point-to-site VPN connections. And of course, you can do a couple of things here. But coming back to the point-to-site configuration here now, if for whatever reason we need to revoke this certificate because we think that there is probably an issue or something, we can always put the thumbprint of the certificate. In this case, of course, if we detect that there's a threat or any kind of issue, then if I go to the properties of this one, not the properties, I can just double click it, details, and this is the thumbprint. So if I go, well, this is the thumbprint here. I want to revoke this one just so that we can test. So this is the thumbprint, and if I just type it revoked for now, and if I hit save, so it's pretty simple. Like, so of course this is gonna revoke it, like we'll test it in a second now. But if you come back to here now, because you are connected to one of the VM here now, which is the client, which has got the IP address here, which is 10.0.0.6. So of course, if you're connected here, you can also connect to the other computers as well. So if I go back to here, because they are all part of the same VNet, so this should not have any issue. So if I try to connect to 10.0.0.4, if I go 10.0.0.4, I can do it from the client as well, or I can do a separate session. So 10.0.0.4, this should technically work. because you're using the same certificate. So if I go Linux Plus, and I'm not sure if that was the password, but yeah, I'm just gonna use that password here. Yeah, this doesn't have that account, by the way. Yeah, I'm not sure which account was that one yet. But if I go to DCO2, that would be 10007. So this is one of the domain controller. So if I go 10007, 10.0.0.7. Yep. So you are able to confirm that. Yep. So this is the domain controller, and we are able to connect using the private IP address. So, which of course means that we were able to connect using the private IP address here, and as you can see, we can access the domain stuff and all that information about that one. Yeah. So this is one of the domain controller. Yeah. And it's pretty simple stuff. Yeah. So now we were after the task, which is of course, yeah. So our settings are saved here now. So if I now try to establish the connection again now, so if I go to VPN, if I disconnect it, if I try to connect it again, it technically should not work because we have already revoked the certificate. See here, the remote access connection completed, but authentication failed because the certificate that authenticates client is not valid. So that means that because we have here outlined that we are revoking this certificate, and of course that's the reason it is no longer accepting the connections. But if we want to let it run again, we can go back to the point to site configuration here. And of course, we can just delete this one from here, remove it, and save. And also this public certificate area, like you can always generate a new root certificate. So let's say you have 10 or 20 users and they have their own laptops. They want to connect to the different environments using the private networks. So you need to send them this private keys certificate so that they can install it. And of course, using the client as well. So you can always download the client from here and you can just send it to them. That will be the same way that I've run on my own laptop. So once they import that certificate I mean, the same certificate can be used for multiple clients. So once you have the certificates, you import that certificate to your laptop and then, use the same client that the way we have just used now. You will be able to connect to that and you will be assigned an IP address range from here. So this will not make any issue there, but you can always change the address pool if there's more requirement or yeah, based on that, yeah. The name you can name it anything here, the root certificate. But yeah, I'll put that link in the description as well. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward, yeah. And you'll see that whatever the clients are connected at the moment now. And we just want to see last setting is this one here now. It might take us a few seconds. And once the last test is completed, then that is it. So this is the point to site VPN connection. Yeah, of course, that will not work because we haven't connected to the VPN as of now. Let's just try. Might have done the work in the backend. Oh yeah, there you go. So it's the portal is still taking a while, but the connection is already established. So see, it's connected here now. And just to test it quickly, and we were able to, I think if I just go back here, client, and yeah, so it's see, it's asking for the password, so that means the connection is already established now. And that is point to site VPN connection. Cool. I'll see you in the next video.